Hey everybody, welcome to Aunties Talk Sports, where we go beyond the game and explore the intersection of sports and culture for female fans. We are two aunties, two mics, but all game. I am one of the hosts here. I am Jennifer, aka Jen B, aka Auntie Jen, and I'm here with my lovely co-host,
KB,
co-hostess. Yeah, the co-hostess with the mostest. So today, and I'm going to say the date. I'm not sure when we'll release this, but I'm going to say the date today is July 29th, 2025. And my mother, her birthday is today, and she is 90 years old.
That's right.
90 years young, just blessed.
That's an awesome blessing.
I know Elijah, like, my great grandmama is 90. No, but yes. And I talked to her today, and we had a birthday party for her on Saturday. She asked me early this year, maybe February or March, can I have a party at your house for my birthday? And so as the date was approaching, I would say, we're going to have this party. She's like, yeah, if I'm still alive, yeah, I'll be there. I'm like, oh, okay. So Saturday it went down. It was great. Had friends and family come, and she remembered some people, but didn't remember others, but she was reintroduced to them, her nieces and nephews. And it was great. I have a big immediate family, and so but
you're the baby of the family, right? And your siblings?
I'm not the baby, I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest I'm the youngest
of how many?
10.
Yes, the
yeah,
youngest
I'm the
of
youngest
10.
of 10. But yeah, it was great. It was another great backyard outdoor party. Mother Nature behaved herself, no rain, so that was great. But yeah, she is 90 years old today, and
whoop, whoop.
Her parents lived to like 92, 93, so knock on some wood around here. I gotta get myself together.
I love it.
And you
well, no, in addition to your mom's birthday, you've celebrated a birthday. Well, we both celebrated a birthday since the last time we were here.
We talked about mine last time. We're gonna talk about yours now. What's it? Yeah.
Yes. Birthday was, I think, last Wednesday. So I didn't really plan anything. I kind of just took the day as it came, went to an impromptu lunch with a friend, dinner with the family, and then Friday night, Auntie did hang out a little bit, stayed out too late, and slept in too late because of that the next day, but had a really good time. Went to a happy hour, and like I said, stayed too late. But one of the things that was just very interesting to me was like the DJ there. It was like they played everything from like Sade to Bills to Old School Eve.
Okay.
To like, it was the most random, eclectic crowd and music.
Yeah.
Which was really odd. But
I kind of like that.
But it was fun. It was fun. And my youngest, who's 7, told me that I could pass for 5 years younger than my actual age. So I take that as a win.
Yeah.
And that's what I told her too.
I like that too. Yes. Tell Cam I need to talk to her. How old what can I pass?
Right. But I was like, okay, I'm trying to get 4 more years off. You think I can make it? So just a blessing all the way around. Another year of life and an opportunity to talk about sports.
Yes. There's still a lot of sports happening. A lot of sports stories. A lot of different things. Just yesterday, I put this on my calendar because Deion Sanders said he was going to have a press conference yesterday at 1. It was he said Central Time or Mountain Time, and so I was like, what time is that in Michigan? And I put it in my calendar, so I went and watched it live, and he announced that he had bladder cancer, and he had his bladder removed, and he's depending on Depends now, and he was very humble. He had posted a video on his Instagram before that saying, you know, he went through a lot and he had to create a will because, you know, he didn't know if he was going to live. And I was like, I think he had cancer because I had seen his appearance change. And
yeah.
So I love Deion Sanders. I love his brashness. I love his humbleness. I love, you know, he backed up what he talked, and, you know, I love his, you know, the way he loves his family. So I'm, you know, glad that he's cancer free. And so, yeah, that was the story that I saw yesterday. And so that was a good one. I thought that was.
Well, I'm going to say one thing first, then we're going to transition into the messiness.
What you got?
So I think my question was more so, like, I understand there was a lot of speculation around his health, but I did think that the press conference was a little odd. Like, I remember when Harbaugh a few years ago, like, had his health issues. I just don't remember kind of the big press conference, bringing in all the doctors. I mean, I still feel like as a professional, you have the right to kind of keep some of your health history a little bit private. And I know he's a, you know, high profile coach, but I also felt like that's such a vulnerable kind of conversation to have, and just to put it kind of out there in the universe. I was a little shocked by how detailed they went into what happened, the diagnosis, and then the follow-up surgeries. I just don't know if I would have shared all of that. But then the kind of messiness. One, I'm like, Deion, you got too much money to not have a will up until this point.
Yes.
I was mortified.
Whole trust.
Right. I was mortified. Like,
who is around you?
Right. The video, it came out and he's like, oh, I had to do my will last night. Anything could have happened. You could have died in an accident. You could have, I mean, people drop dead every day. And so to not have a will created, or like you said, a trust or any sort of indication about how your assets would be, you know, distributed to your children and your grandchild, I was just really shocked by that.
Now, I will say that I don't know if he didn't have anything in place. It may not have been updated. I'm you know, I always got to give people.
You see my face. I'm like, Jill.
I know. You're such a Leo.
He was on that side of it talking about I had to do my will last night.
No, I'm gonna venture to guess that he had a will. He just had to update it.
Maybe he needed to write Carucci in the will. Maybe that's what it was.
You say your name, Carucci. But I see why he did the press conference. He wanted to show that vulnerability, right? He said that there are a lot of people out there dealing with the exact same thing, and they, you know, he wanted to urge men to go get, especially men, to go get checked out. You know, he had to get checked out. Had he not had to have these regular scans, they would not have found this. And so he wanted to urge people, go get checked out, go, you know, and, you know, face whatever you got to face to get this up. So I kind of like that. What I didn't like was Deion Sanders was at his press conference in camp, and they're asking him about Deion's health. And, you know, they were like, you know, your father's health. And they were like, he's like, I don't know what's going on with him. I'm here focused on football. Can we keep this on football? And the lady still tried to turn it to, and he didn't lie, because Deion, I believe that Deion didn't really tell his players and his family everything that was happening. The only one that probably knew was Bucky, his oldest. But, you know, his press conference was that kind of like the I'm taking my talents to South Beach type thing. But, you know, I like when people are vulnerable, and I felt you know, everybody was in his business. anyway, like speculating. And he's just like, I'm just going to tell you. You know.
I just wouldn't have told everything. I don't think people need to know you had a part of your bladder removed. They used part of your intestines to recreate your bladder. You know, that's just, to me, more detail.
I like to hear that.
Why?
I want to know like what options there are, because sometimes, especially as Black people, they might not give you some options that, you know, someone that, you know, other people don't have, like that the other people get. So I like that, you know, what, because he had two options. And sometimes people aren't presented with two options. The second option. You know, I kind of like that. But.
Okay, I can get it. I can understand it from that perspective. I think about, so I was just laughing because, you know, many Black women in particular are anemic. So I tell everybody, don't waste your time with the pills. Don't waste your time with the liquid iron. Just get your iron infusion. And to your point, I've had a lot of women tell me, like, oh, my doctor never told me that I could get an iron infusion. Or I didn't know, or I didn't know that was available. And so for me in particular, iron infusions have been like game changers. It's like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm calling somebody tonight with that information because I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and that's see, you telling that on this podcast today. Thank you for being vulnerable and telling me that.
So aunties, y'all out there with your hair falling out, you're cold, you're eating ice and everything else, get your iron infusions.
Okay, I got called to make it.
Yes, get your iron infusions. But the real tea that Aunties was talking about.
All right.
You already know.
Come here, Deion.
All of these people texting me right now was Karrueche Tran in that video. And that is the most random, as the kids say, so they don't have to cuss, random thing that came out of that video.
It was like, why?
Well,
why was she even in there? Why did they post that?
Well, months ago, there was rumors that they were dating. So
I never heard.
Yeah, there were rumors that they were dating. So that was the hard launch. That is the most ridiculous hard launch of your relationship that's possible.
They said he was with Roxy.
Right, but she kept saying, nope. He kept saying, nope. But she put one of her girls on. But one, Karrueche is not even 40. Like somebody was like, baby... Right, Auntie Take, if you want to get you an old man, get you one with his bladder and all of his toes. They like you
Tracy Edmonds, Karrueche Tran. Okay.
Right. And people were like, you too young for this. Right. You too young for this. I have a really close friend. She just got married, but she is in, it's like approaching her 60s. She's like, all the men who are in my age group had serious health conditions. Like they were looking for a maid,
somebody
looking for a nurse. Right. So people were just like, and I agree. I think that was random. That's not how you hard launch your relationship.
Yeah.
That's it's giving, I need a check.
Yeah. Well, Hulk Hogan just passed away. His wife is 46 and he was 71. So, and she was like, she did a press conference statement real fast. They were like, dang, that's the fastest statement I ever heard. Talk about she wasn't ready for him to die. Look like she. I was like, oh man, y'all.
I am not against May, December.
No.
Relationships within reason. But
Shannon Sharp and the 19-year-old, I'm against that one.
Right. That's why I said within reason. But that wasn't really a relationship. That was a business arrangement.
Yeah. And they settled.
And whether they're male or female, right? So a lot of people also have a lot to say about Jalen Green and his relationship. And so I do think that whether it's the man being older or the woman being older, we should be able to recognize that people sometimes fall in love who are vastly older or younger. But to your point, hovering around 18, 19. And I also think it's weird when you're in a relationship with somebody who's the same age as your children.
Right.
That's to me odd, whether, it's legal, but what do I want to have in common with someone who maybe is the same age as my fictitious son?
and your kids annoy you, but you try to tell me your spouse does it.
Right, your kids get on your last nerve, right. But this 25-year-old, he don't get on my nerves, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that, I would say that relationship, Deion and Karuchi's relationship pretty much, at least on social media, eclipsed his health. And to your point, this is the first public relationship he's had since he and Tracy Edmonds went their separate ways. And so I think for a lot of women, right, of a certain age, it's like whatever reason, this relationship couldn't work out with someone who is your peer, who's similarly stationed in life, right? Established older children. And now you with this young girl.
Where does he even meet Karuchi? That's what I was like. Where are you hanging out that you meeting Karuchi? But that's enough about Deion. We doing a deep dive on Deion. I ain't trying. So yeah, so that was, one of the most recent stories. I got to talk about a little bit about baseball a little bit.
I still ain't been to a game.
My Tigers, they lost 6 in a row, and then they won one, and I was like, okay, we're back. And then they lost 6 in a row again, and they are not in first place overall. They are still in first place in the Central Division. But the Milwaukee Brewers are in first place overall, which is random. But, I just want to shout out my Tigers. They just traded for a pitcher who they believe in, so that we really need. But I can't, I have to mention my Tigers because I still think they're having a great season. And we are second in the American League. But so that's good. We're in the top 6 overall, but I still think that they'll
peak at the right time,
be number 1, end up number 1, and win the World Series. I'm still counting on that.
She's still calling it. That's her prediction.
Still calling that. You were talking about a little bit Chris Paul.
Oh yeah, I love me some CP3.
I love him.
I really want him to win a championship. We were talking about the whole trade season, or earlier in the summer, I was saying that I was really excited about where he was gonna go. I hoped that he was gonna end up in Houston. That didn't happen, but I think this obviously signals that probably this is his last year, right? Maybe. And he's kind of going back to kind of where it all began for him in a lot of ways. I don't think the Clippers is going to win it, but I do feel like this could potentially be, right, a nice season for him to go ahead and retire, although I hate to see it. I know he's a jerk on the court, but I think he's a consummate professional.
Yes. And he's ready to accept a lesser role and mentor people. I wanted him to go to the Lakers because I wanted him to go back home to his family. Yeah, he's been on away from his family during the season for years, and so I wanted him to go to the Lakers. So I feel like the Clippers are a good consolation prize. Now I'm not gonna count the Clippers out. They do have some good pieces. We'll see what they could do with it, but I am glad that he's back in LA with his family. Yeah. And so that was, the biggest thing for me. I love Chris Paul.
I mean, I look like the little meme, the girl who's like, because I'm like, what pieces? The pieces still ain't healthy. They can't stay healthy to save their lives. I mean, now they have Bradley Beal. That's a new piece, but
Harden and Kawhi, they have pieces. I didn't say whether they were broken or.
As Evelyn Lozado used to say, they are MF and non-factor. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of Kawhi. It's it is it's a soap opera every single season. Yeah. Right.
He won his ring, and he was like, "I don't need any more."
Right, I'm good.
He was like,
"That's right." Harden, right?
Goodness. I just want to shave his beard.
The same thing. I think Harden needs a resurgence, kind of like Luka. Right?
I don't see it coming.
I mean, it probably isn't, but I think ever since he kind of got the rap, like he just wants to kind of hang out, he wants to party, he want to fly back to Houston for the weekends, go to the strip club. I think in order for people to take him more seriously, he needs to show like, oh, I'm getting back in shape, I'm kind of changing my, my lifestyle, but no. It's just it's not exciting anymore. Bradley Beal, I like Bradley Beal. Yeah. Cause I like his wife. I think is from Cali, like LA. But again, I just don't think that gets him over the hump.
No, I mean but they have pieces. We'll see what they can do. I feel like anybody can win, a few games. We'll see.
Oh yeah, they'll win a few. They'll be. Oh, and we forgot they got Ben Simmons. Woo, Lord, yeah.
I wasn't. Look, that's a non-mother. That's that was not even worth mentioning.
They got Zubac. They got Bogdanovich. I mean, they do. Like you said, they got some pieces. Yeah,
role players.
Patty Mills.
Yeah, role players. A lot of older people feel like.
Yeah, that would be my one concern. Would be the age. The age thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the players on that team are, advanced in, where they are in their careers.
Right.
And, especially in today's game with, how load management is.
Right.
And, I mean, we've seen it with Kawhi. The Clippers are, very willing to sit players out. They're not going to be afraid of doing that. And if you get into a situation where a lot of these players are, struggling to play, 60 or even 70 games,
right?
I could see that getting ugly quick. I looked it up. It says including the addition of Chris Paul.
Okay.
And accounting for, training camp and, we're not sure exactly what the roster is going to look like. But the estimate is about the average age is going to be around 30, 31 years old. And that's by far the oldest in the league.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's my main thing. I was like, they have pieces. He's going to come in there just be a mentor. He's going to come off the bench. He's probably, and I'm not expecting much, but who knows? Anything can happen. That's all I can talk about. Hey, the geriatric team might get out there.
Well, you know what ain't gonna happen. Mm-hmm. His beloved 76ers having a healthy team. Oh, Paul George, right?
That's not even.
He's gonna be back.
Okay.
It's just.
I was just like, man, oh man.
So, but yeah, and that's a little bit of the NBA, and that transitions us to my favorite,
the W.
WNBA.
I love how they call it the W.
The W. Look, so they started calling the NBA MNBA. I'm like, what y'all doing? Because the WNBA and the NBA. I'm like, no, it's just the NBA. Like, y'all crazy.
That's funny.
But hey, I predicted something right. Team Collier won the game.
Oh yeah,
they blew them out. They were blowing them out. But I want to start though. The stars of the weekend were the stud buds. I can't believe I was watching that stuff. I was really watching their stuff on Friday and Saturday night because I wanted to see the party. I wanted to see who was doing what at the parties.
Yeah, it was out of control. It was out of control. I mean, it was great. It was entertaining.
It was great.
It was. But
because they'll knock each other's heads off on the court, but they're see them.
You could definitely see that there was a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah, and it always has
right among the players that they really. For the most part, fool with one another. But yeah, stud buds was the highlight of the weekend. It was authentic. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was entertaining.
Right.
And it was pure comedy.
Right.
You know,
72 hours of live stream.
Yeah. And I'm not a streaming person. Like I get it, but I also don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, to me, that perfect convergence of something that's really hot, you know what I mean, with the league, which is what they needed. I never knew about those two players prior to the weekend.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, I think I've seen them, but it was like the pink hair, you know, like it was a moment. It was a cultural moment, a pop culture moment. I'm trying to think. My highlights were the commissioner dancing to, was it Nuck If You Buck? That was gold. T and her budding crush on Angel Reese.
When she went from Skylar Diggins to Angel Reese. No, I love Angel bad.
Right. And it was like, Angel, I think you giving this a little too much attention, because at one point I think somebody had to pull her away. Like, just leave Angel alone. Like, you've been following her all night.
She told Angel she was too expensive for her.
Right, she did. She's like,
Angel, you know what? Angel been playing basketball with, you know, stud buds for many, many years.
You mean just studs?
Studs for many, many years.
Oh yeah, it was like, it was the dancing though.
So I got something to tell. See, this is how I know that men try to act like they're bow-legged. Because why does Courtney Williams try to walk bow-legged? Why?
So for our listeners,
did you see it?
So for our listeners out there, this is a pet peeve of Auntie Jen Jen. She hates when people who are not bow-legged try to walk as if they are bow-legged.
I hate it.
And the number one perpetrator of this fraud is LeBron James.
Yes. I said, look, he's not bow-legged, but he's trying to walk. My brother is bow-legged. I know what bow legs look like, okay? And it is a fact that men try to be. Remember, we were at the baseball game a couple weeks ago, and the guy was walking, and he's going to have hip problems because he's trying to be bow-legged, and he's not.
This is hilarious to me because
and
Jen
evidenced by the fact Courtney Williams is trying to walk bow-legged. I swear, I saw it.
But Jen hates this. I'm trying to think. I think the highlight too was some of the fashion. Right. Yes. But others, like
they dress. I'm gonna tell you what. Last year, the All-Star WNBA All-Star game was in Phoenix, and that was my favorite one to date. It was like they implemented. You know, they had a new like vibe going on. Indiana is my favorite one to date. Like it's getting better.
Yeah. I love the orange carpet. I'm trying to think. I definitely liked Angel's outfit.
Angel was sharp every day.
Yeah, she looked. I thought Skylar Diggins brought it. I thought Sid Colson. Yeah, she brought it. Yeah. I actually liked Sabrina too. I liked how her partnership with Nike, you know, evolved. They had and actually, look, I want a pair of those like Nike tight stockings. Did you see those?
I don't know.
Yeah, so she wore like a skirt and a jacket. I probably didn't know. And her tights were Nike logos. I loved it. I also thought that, of course, you know, everybody looked really nice, but you could tell that some people were really, you know, really trying to make the carpet their moment. I really loved Paige, and she was saying, somebody asked her about her style, and I think this is like one of the first times that she's kind of verbalized more so the androgynous style, and she was saying that she's a auntie, right? So saying that she really tries to embody that feminine as well as the masculine energy in her looks, and then also the hard launch of her relationship.
Yeah, they did the 5 questions about your D1 girlfriend.
That's right. So many people speculated for a while.
I mean, that was the worst kept secret ever. I mean, everybody knew. I mean, they were.
When do you think you knew?
Over the past year, after they won. I mean, they do everything. And then she had the phone case, that I'm Paige. I'm Paige's girlfriend or something like that.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Oh.
I did see when she showed up. Azizi Fudd showed up at the draft. Mm-hmm. And I think people were like, well, why is she sitting down there, with Paige?
Yeah, they do everything. So social media, they're together a lot. So I mean,
yeah.
There's always been the talk. I don't think they tried to hide it at all.
Well, they were quiet about it.
Yeah, it's nobody's business.
But they hard launched it though. So
that was like, fine.
That was a highlight. But no, it was a.
We want to be hugged up at All-Star games, so we about to launch this.
It was a good weekend, and then also, right, the conversation about the collective bargaining agreement definitely took center stage.
Yes,
right.
So I'll say, before we get into that, the New York Liberty dominated All-Star Friday night. So Natasha Cloud won the skills challenge, and Sabrina Ionescu won the 3-point shooting contest. She was lights out. So, I mean, nobody was about to beat her. The skills challenge, they got to improve that, because you can miss throwing the ball through the hoop or the ring and all that and still win. And I just feel like that's not a skill. Like, that's just a timing. You just beat the timer. But Team Collier, like I said, they dominated wire to wire. They won 151 to 131.
Yeah.
And they implemented the AT&T 4-point.
Now, do you like the 4-point? Because some people felt like, nah.
Because all they were doing was jacking up 3-4s all night and missing them. And I feel like there should be like, you could shoot 4s like a certain time. Like the last minute of the quarter,
at every quarter, or something like that.
Because they were just jacking them up. I was like, oh my gosh, everybody was shooting them. But it was good. That was a good game. But another highlight, like you said, was the collective bargaining agreement. So 40 players showed up, and that was the largest in-person crowd to have a meeting about the collective bargaining ever. But while they were in town, they had a meeting on Thursday. I believe it was Thursday, not Friday. And they didn't get anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so for the listeners, the collective bargaining agreement that they have is let's say it's their union contract, is what I call it, like, kind of. And that they have had their contract. They signed their last one in 2020. And they opted out last year. They want to renegotiate. And the 2021 was a milestone CBA. They, I want to say about Kathy Engelbert. She is a former CEO of Deloitte, one of the big 4 professional firms. And so she comes with that financial knowledge, and she has really grown the WNBA. She's grown revenue. I want to say she's doubled or tripled revenue, or maybe even more. She came in 2019, and I believe she was brought in to help them negotiate that collective bargaining agreement. And, they improved the salaries. So the maximum was you could make, I think the highest paid player now is making like $250, and that's Jackie Young. And she came in and she improved revenue, got them up to Comfort Plus airlines. And then last year they had to change that to charter flights because of the harassment that was happening to the players in the airport. But as the league evolves and as it grows now, the players want better options. And in particular, they want a higher share of the revenue that is generated. And just to give you a glimpse of that, like in the TV deal that the WNBA just signed that goes into effect in 2026, 2027, is $2.2 billion over 11 years. So that's, $200 million a year. So the players are banking not just on the revenue. That here's the narrative. So okay, in the All-Star game, before in the shoot around, the players unzipped their jackets and they had a shirt that said, "Pay us what you owe us," and that caused an uproar. The crowd was even chanting after the game, like, "Pay the players, pay them what you owe them." And all these men, I'm gonna say mostly men is what I'm hearing, who I'm hearing like object to it. The league is $50 million in debt. First of all, so I went when they keep throwing out these numbers. I went and I said, "Well, how much?" Go ahead.
Well, let's just pause. I want people to understand. Jen's day job is an accountant. So I think
I'm sorry.
She about to dive deep into these numbers. And I want the listeners to understand this is what she does.
I'm sorry, y'all.
This is what she does.
I was getting carried away too. I was about to go.
Because I think it's important. A lot of times people don't understand, businesses, right? They can show a loss, right? Based on just the numbers and, their deductions and all of that. Yeah. And so I think people should know we got somebody who really know what they talking about here.
Thank you. Jennifer don't know what she talking about. I know a little. So I know how to read financials. Okay, so, but the first thing I did was I went and I said, the players, Caitlin Clark is making $76,000 this year, or something like that.
Ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I went and Googled how much does Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, make. They said, "Oh, that's not public knowledge." So you mean to tell me your public knowledge is that the league's losing $50 million, but you can't tell me how much of that Kathy makes, right? It's just like the NFL. The NFL used to be a nonprofit, so they used to have public books. And then once Roger Goodell started getting to the $30 million, they became a private company because everybody was questioning the salary. So I said, okay, so the speculation is that she makes about $3 million a year. And I understand you were the CEO of Deloitte. I get that. But show me the books that say that they're losing $50 million a year. Okay? Yeah. Show me the books. Because the way I look at it is like a profit and loss statement. Okay? You have revenue. And then you have costs that generate that revenue. The costs that generate that revenue are the players. That's your cost of revenue, your cost of sales. So anything after that is like overhead, marketing and payroll, which Kathy should be in that overhead number. But the players are only getting 9% of all the revenue that's generated. And they want a higher percentage, where the league wants to cap the percentage that they get. The players want to gradually make it more.
Yeah.
I see both sides of it. But you have to if you want the percentage to be fixed, it's got to be higher than 9%.
Yeah. Well, I also think that this conversation probably would have been drastically different if Steph Curry's interview with Speedy Norman, right, hadn't come out like the next week, because I think that this is important. And so Steph, was talking about, regardless of how much players make, it pales in comparison to the valuation or future valuation of the teams that they play for. And so Speedy was like, well, your estimated net worth is around $240 million. Like, do you think that's, and he's the third highest paid, right, player in NBA history after LeBron and Durant. And so Steph made the comment that when you compare, so I think when he got to Golden State, and I want to pull up the specifics. So the Warriors now are worth $8.8 billion. And when he got there, they were, I think, worth maybe like $300 million, right? And so his whole point was that if this was a tech company or kind of any other, enterprise, I would be able at some point, right, to participate in that upside.
Right.
But he was like, players can't. So I think that players are still underpaid in comparison to the money that we bring in.
Yes.
And I think the WNBA is, to your point, at this critical juncture, they know, right, that there's about to be an upside because they're helping to create it.
Right.
And so they should be able to participate in that upside.
Right.
And I think that, that's fair. And any other business person will want the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure Kathy has some sort of incentives, right, in her contract. So why not incentivize the players as well?
Yes. They are banking on future, like I said, future valuation. So if they just say, okay, we'll take 9% of that's still okay. They're not, so they talk about, they're losing 50 million. Sometimes businesses
show a loss
on purpose.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Not just, show a loss. They show a loss on purpose. And if I'm showing a loss, in my smaller business, for many, many years, they're going to just say it's a hobby and they're going to be like, girl, get out of here. But the WNBA could do it because it's designed like that. Come on. And why is it at a loss? Show me the books. I want to see the books I want to see the financials that says that they have this $50 million. I don't believe it. So until you show me that, because who's going to continue to, okay, Philadelphia, Detroit, and who's the other one that got a team? Cleveland.
Yeah.
They are not going to pay $250 million to enter into a league that's about to tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. They paid $250,000. The past teams, what did they pay? Like a fraction of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, but this is the thing, and we know this because we did our research also for our deck, right? Is that female fans, it's not just about the team in itself. It's also about the sponsorship opportunities, the audience, because female consumers control the majority of spending across any vertical, right? So it's a wonderful opportunity, and most women are early adopters of products, of new technologies, of all of that. So to your point, people see the opportunity. So I also think we know, by and large, women are vastly underpaid compared to their counterparts. So get all the money you can get, right? Because there's inherent disparities baked into that,
right? And you have Unrivaled, who is proving the WNBA wrong. Yeah, right. Yeah. They're not on their level yet. And the WNBA is threatened by them too. Was it Gabby Williams that was saying that? Gabby Williams was saying that the WNBA does not want them to have other leagues like Unrivaled because it's just like that. We'll show you that the players can have equity in the team. That's right. and you can make money,
and child care, and can be taken care of as female athletes. Right. Yeah. Now, I caught a little bit of that today, too, where she was saying that if the W really tries to push this, that people are prepared to sit out. Yes. And then you perhaps, have nothing. Right. And then perhaps Unrivaled will extend their season. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's on and popping. And I love the fact that Unrivaled has built in the equity stake from the beginning. Yes. And that is going to make the product better. It's going to make people, work harder because they know that they can participate in the upside.
Yes. And the NBA went for, I want to say 40 years without making a profit, but they still paid the players. They were back in the 70s, they were making $300,000. They were still paying the players more than the women now, and they weren't profitable either. And the WNBA is on pace to be more profitable faster than the NBA is. Yeah. So that tired old narrative, y'all don't understand financials and you don't understand they're not paying them they shouldn't be paying them out of the profit. They're asking for the revenue, not out of the profit.
Right, that's what I'm saying, off the top. So right. I know, nephew, you want to be in the front office one day. And so what do you think about this whole collective bargaining agreement? And how, I guess, if you were in the front office of one of these teams, how would you play it?
Well, I can understand from a business standpoint how you're trying to conserve money.
Yeah.
When I'm not a financial expert, that's Jen's wheelhouse, but I do think, just from an outsider's perspective, seeing the percentage of revenue that WNBA players make, and especially as opposed to the people
the
in the
50%
NBA.
Or
yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people kind of get twisted, is that they're not asking to be paid the same amount as the NBA players. They're asking to be paid the same percentage of the revenue.
Right.
And that is lower than the NBA's, but if it's the same percentage, then that would be a more equitable, way to do it.
Right.
And that's what they're pushing for. Not saying that like they're asking for money that isn't there.
Right.
They're asking for the same percentage as players in other leagues, not just the NBA, but the NBA as an example, get paid. So,
or the potential to get there, because they're not asking for it off the rip, but they're asking for like a gradual, way to get there. But yeah.
So I don't think that's unreasonable at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited to see how the negotiations go. I also think some of the backlash is because also people misconstrued Kelsey Plum's comment when she was talking about Team Clark, and people felt like she was coming for Caitlyn again.
Oh my goodness.
All of the trolls couldn't help but jump, but she was basically just saying that people was hungover.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They were up late partying, so they was slow coming to the meeting. It was like a whole inside joke. But yeah, I actually think that this moment is bigger than just the WNBA.
Oh, yeah.
I think that this is an opportunity for women also, right, who are in business to understand the leverage that they do have and the power of negotiation. And I also think that the WNBA players are more aligned. Like I think back to some of the past conversations on the MNBA side, right? And how you had like the, stars versus the journeymen. You know what I'm saying? They weren't as tight kind of in their negotiation and in their positioning. But no,
it's back when Derek Fisher sold them out.
Oh yeah.
That one.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And they was hot. They was mad. But yeah, it's so much. I'm glad we got to talk about this too, because your experience as an accountant definitely comes into play. But yeah.
And here's the thing too. I own a business, and I'm learning that, I know accounting, but I didn't know business, and I'm learning business, in these past 3 years, like never before. It's very nuanced, and then unless you're in it and know about it, you could talk on the sidelines and say, they're not generating the stuff that the men are. It's not about that. It's like this is their job. They can make more overseas. They were going overseas only because they could make $1 million in a few months.
And this was just to really grow the game. But I think, to your point, and this is a pet peeve of mine, I'm so tired of the comparisons to the men's game. To talk about, the men do this. We talked a little bit earlier today about Shannon Sharp, his conversation with Flage about, and it started with Aja, right? About, can the best WNBA players be just, a scrub in the NBA? And I'm just so shocked that for a lot of men, they have to bring it back to, well, we can still beat you.
Right. It's so stupid. If you talk to 10 WNBA players, they're going to tell you they grew up playing against men on the court, on the playground courts.
Yeah.
That's why they play the way that they play.
Yeah.
Like they did play against men, like, and they beat them. Like, it's not impossible for a woman to beat a man at any sport or whatever. But I'm tired. Like you said, I'm tired of that narrative. Like, just stop it. The Aces can't beat a high school team. The Aces aren't playing a high school team ever.
Yeah.
And actually, they do have men in their practices. The WNBA players,
and in college too,
and colleges, and they have men that they practice against every day. Like, stop it.
Yeah. It reminds me of when Diana Taurasi and Draymond Green got into the argument. Got into an argument during the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? And they was shocked because Diana was giving it to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that people underestimate the competitive nature of women's sports. To your point, it's like, I think back to those days, you know, in the boys club where our coach they would be like, come on, I need a team of 5 guys and you gonna run against my girls. You know what I mean? And eventually it was like the guys would be like, oh, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to play against them, or I'm not going to try my hardest, or I don't want to guard no girl. She think that I'm going to, be trying to feel on her or whatever. It would be like all of these, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of these objections, and then we would be like, let's go, you know what I'm saying? And then it was like, oh, once they saw that we was playing and we didn't care that they were dudes, then it was like their pride was engaged. Like, oh no, I ain't gonna let no girl go around me, or I ain't gonna let no girl, you know what I'm saying? And then without a doubt, it was going to be a hard foul. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody is getting, took to the hoop by a girl, and they was in their feelings like, oh no, I got to shut this down. So, I'm going to hack her, or I'm going to inadvertently push her down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that's what it reminds me of, just like an attempt to say, oh, we still got one on you. And what is interesting to me is that none of the conversation, and we already know Shannon Sharp is probably a misogynist, but none of the conversation is about, the, I would say the strategy behind the game. Right. It's about physical prowess. Right. Oh,
they don't think the woman can run around the man. And
even with Flage, I was like, girl, why are you the one talking? Because everything she's
just one of the shorter ones.
But everything she kept coming back to was, they can dunk. They can dunk. Have you seen them? They can dunk. Right. And it's like, okay, beyond running and jumping, right? You're saying that men just couldn't beat the women, unless they could dunk on them, so and that's so I get all the money.
One of my favorite I don't know her name, but there's a lady on Instagram, well, she's probably on all social media, and she goes to gyms. She goes to the gym. She puts her phone on the floor. And schooling the guy. And talking junk at the same time. And they get so mad.
We need
She's
to have
one of my favorite. Yes.
Have you seen those clips?
I have.
I'm gonna find it.
We gotta find it. But yes, and it's like she will knit all of the clips together, and it's like hilarious. She'll just put her little phone on a tripod in the corner. They playing at like a gym, or I don't know, a high school gym, or like a workout facility, and she'll be in there beating them to death. You know what I'm saying? Still 5-on-5. But the worst one I saw was like the dude, did he go and get his girlfriend? Or it was like his mama, somebody, like he was hot, like, really, really mad. And so he brought a couple of women in there like, no, she ain't about to do this to me. And it was like, dude, but again, the pride, of it all. But Yeah, I mean, I just think that the archetype of women has to be expanded to include a high competitive drive. And I think that is underestimated. And look, every player in the WNBA may not be able to beat every player right in the NBA. Right. Yes, because obviously they talked about Kevin Durant, right? Like, what do I look like going Flage? What do I look like going up against?
You did make a good point, like talking about dunking and stuff, because somebody else came back and said, well, yeah, they could probably beat somebody like Muggsy Bogues or something.
Right. It's
no,
like,
not necessarily.
Right. It's like dunking is it. But I do believe like they gonna score. They gonna get a couple of buckets. They gonna, they gonna, surprise a lot of people. But our value as women doesn't have to always be in comparison to what men can do.
Well, it's always men that are saying it. I don't think I ever talked to my female friends about, hey, you think she could beat him? No, it's always some man like Shannon Sharp. Talk about can why would you even have that in your interview questions to Flage? Like, why are you doing that?
I mean, but that first he asked Asia Wilson, or somebody asked Asia Wilson. She said, yeah, she thought some players from WNBA. And so
I get it, but why you ask? Why is that on your card to ask during that interview?
That's what I said. We all know Shannon Sharp is misogynistic.
Yeah. I'm like, kill that.
Except when he on OnlyFans. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
But I mean, but again, we now understand, right? So you have, right, a man continually talking, right, about women in a disparaging way, talking about women taking advantage of him because he has money. Talking about how he won't take women out to a nice restaurant. He want to take them to Applebee's or something. You know what I'm saying? Because he don't want them to.
He doesn't go pick them up. He sends a car.
Right, sends an Uber. Right. So doesn't want them to take advantage of, right, his financial means. Then you get slapped with a rape allegation by a 19-year-old model on OnlyFans. You settle and you got to pay money, right? When you was talking about all these other women, now you have to pay her to settle. And the day you settle the suit, she announces publicly that she has now retired from OnlyFans. So, yes. So when we talk about who is taking who,
I don't have to go back to OnlyFans anymore.
Right? Who is taking advantage of who? Water. Right? That's what I'm saying. That's why, because of the type of person or type of man that
Hi,
he
is. My name is Bianca, and Shannon Sharp retired me from OnlyFans.
That's right. And people and all the aunties, we're gonna give it up. All the black aunties out there was like, what? What, Shannon? You didn't talk all this trash about us coming after you for your money, and you get taken to the ringer by a 19-year-old.
Better listen to Monique. Now, so I want to see who he pops out with next.
Girl, he ain't popping out with nobody.
His little fashion, his fashion consultant.
Ain't nobody popping out. Ain't nobody popping out with Shannon Sharp.
He gonna be like, Deion popped out with Carucci. I could pop out with somebody. Yeah, okay.
No, I'm trying to find the settlement amount. It didn't.
I thought they didn't disclose it.
No, they didn't disclose it. But she was suing him for $50 million.
Yeah, she didn't get no $50 million.
She probably got 10, 15.
She probably got the original 10 that he offered her.
Yeah.
And called it a day.
Can you imagine paying $10 million to settle some BS that you didn't got yourself into? Yeah, when you got
$100 million deal you trying to secure.
Yeah, so that's why he asked the question. Just like when he was talking to Young Miami, right? And he was like, so you be getting Birkin bags and stuff, Chanel bags? She like, Yeah. Oh, I can't. I gotta stay in my pay grade. I can't be dating you, right? So everything is cheap. Cheap.
Yeah.
But you had to pay.
Yeah.
You had to pay. So yeah. So women, get yours. Get what you owe, what you worth. Because you deserve it. You deserve it.
Before we leave on the WNBA, Cameron Brink, who was the number 2 drafted player in the WNBA last year. So Caitlin Clark was number 1. Cameron Brink was number 2. And she tore her ACL last year. So tonight, she's making her season debut from her torn ACL. So everybody's anticipating that because she was just playing like a rookie last year. So they want to see what she can really do. So I'm happy to see her come back. And they love to compare Angel to everybody. So they, there was some poll that came out. But anyway, I want to see that happen. Angel's been out with a back injury, even though she's doing all these TikTok. I don't know, but like they like, isn't your back hurting? But and the sky have been getting blown out, so they really need her back.
Yeah.
Caitlin's still out, so it's an interesting season. Dallas Wings, Paige Beckers, and Arike Agumbawale are starting to gel. They beat the Liberty last night. Liberty lost 2 games that they should have won. So the WNBA is heating up.
Yeah.
So that's good. My, take on that. And so football, the Lions are in training camp. So they're saying that the receivers are being allowed to run the routes that they want to run. Like they're opening up their offense even more. So I'm excited to see that. We've got had a couple of injuries in training camp. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Everybody loves the new offensive coordinator. So we'll see if that translates to a good season. I think it's going to be a tough season, but I can't wait for that to start. So
I'm trying to get my outfits together for the Lions. I wasn't the past couple of years. I have not been satisfied with my Lions gear. girl. And so
all my gear is old. So
I gotta get my Lions gear together this year.
Yeah. So go Lions. Yeah, Pistons, we're going to see what they're going to do, but Red Wings, we're going to see what they're going to do. But I always got to talk about my home teams. I just want to touch on this. 45-year-old Venus Williams is out here trying to keep her Cobra insurance, and she is playing and winning some matches, and she's going to be in the U.S. Open doubles, mixed doubles. So I welcome back, Venus. Come on back. It was good to see her out there, and they said, one of the reporters was like, you're 45, why are you out here? She said, why not?
Right. And that's what she
Boom.
Their relationship with the media has always been
contentious.
And so I didn't understand when the guy was asking her about what he felt she had to prove. And she was like, I don't have to prove nothing.
Right.
And so again, I'm here because I really love it.
Right.
Right. This is been my whole life.
Right.
I can still do it at a high level compared to us mere humans.
Right.
She looked really healthy. She looked well rested.
Yeah. And I think that was after she talked about her Cobra insurance. Like, dude, they sent me a letter saying about to get kicked off.
Which was hilarious.
She's like, I'm always at the doctor. I gotta keep my insurance.
And I was shocked.
And I was like, what? Why are they doing? What's up with the WTA?
But I was shocked too. I was shocked that she didn't get a lot of backlash about that comment. Because I'm also like,
real life.
Venus, you got more than enough money to pay for your medical needs.
Well, why when you can have their Cobra?
But I mean, I understand wanting the insurance, but it is not like, I mean, and I hate to get political, right? But we are living in a time where literally Medicaid is going to be cut for millions of people living in poverty. So a multimillionaire talking about coming back because they need their Cobra, it was, that's my girl, but it was a little tone deaf. I was like,
Tone deaf. So
because you can afford it, you can afford your help, you can afford to go out and to pay.
That's like Coco Gauff saying she didn't have any debt. She called it debt. She didn't even know how to say debt because she ain't got no debt.
Right.
That's to me. Okay, this is a good segue, and we're gonna wrap it up in a minute. But I am, and we're talking about business again, right? Mm-hmm. Our money mindset starts when we're young, and people expect multimillionaires to be, to talk like they want them to talk. Like, why she talking, acting like she can't afford? She didn't say she couldn't afford it. She just don't. But we are like, we want them to be embarrassed about having money sometimes. And I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying,
it just comes across as tone deaf. That's what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, you can afford to pay. And I love Venus, and people didn't take the take that I'm taking now, right? People were like, oh, this is a great, ha ha ha, he he he. I laughed, but I was also like, ouch, right? For people here in America, many of who are going to have their benefits cut off and don't have the means to actually go out and pay for their medical services. I was like, it just appears to be tone deaf for this moment in history.
But what if they can go get a job and work and get benefits to do that? They're going to go get that job. Some people, I know a lot of people that go to work or stay at a job so that they can keep the benefits that they have. I didn't really take it as tone deaf. I don't know. I felt like it doesn't apply to me because I'm not a multimillionaire. So but I wouldn't expect her to say, just because I'm a multimillionaire, I'm just going to go buy my own insurance. Hey, they might have a great plan. And
I'm sure they do.
And I'm surprised they even have to pay for it. That's the thing. I'm like some sports, I think you get some companies you might get healthcare for the rest of your life. I don't know.
Right. So this is my moment because y'all professionally y'all work in philanthropy.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have my moment. And I guess this is like I said, I know everyone doesn't have access to this information from a policy standpoint, but based on what's being proposed, right, between 4 to 7 million people will be going without health insurance because of plan cuts to Medicaid, right? And so we're talking about seniors, we're talking about those who are living in poverty, and the Congressional Budget Office estimates that the total number of uninsured people will rise to 17 million by 2034. And again, this is in exchange for a lot of tax cuts, like we were talking about earlier, right, to corporations. So this moment, at least in my field, people are trying to strategize about what are we going to do in our communities as the number of uninsured people rise. So that's what I'm living every day, like, foundations and nonprofits trying to think through not just uninsured, but cuts to SNAP benefits, So I think that's why it kind of, for me, was a little tone deaf, because the majority of working class Americans and those who are in poverty, it's about to get a lot harder for them.
I know. I'm in the nonprofit sector, and my clients are, one of my clients in particular has a food bank, and they have cut, they've cut FEMA funding and all that. But let's think about the audience that Venus was talking to. She was at a tournament where people buy tickets. It's a luxury to buy a tennis ticket. I don't know.
Right.
I gotta debate you on that.
I'm not saying that.
I gotta debate you on that.
It was off the cuff, right? It was, I think, a joke because everybody knows that she could pay. But to me, that moment just showed like, you a multimillionaire, right? Because most working class people in this moment are definitely thinking about the impact to their bottom line, and she's got many more options. So that's all, girl, you can pay your copay. Girl, you can pay if you got to pay out of pocket. You can pay out of pocket for your mammogram.
But if she
may not want to,
why would she? If she could just go play a tournament?
But that's what I'm saying.
I think she wanted to get back. Like if she didn't want to,
that's
she wouldn't have got back there. She wanted to get back out there,
right? So it's not like you can't. That's what I'm saying, right? So better to say that you came back, and that's why I said I think it was a joke. You love the game. That's why you're really out there. She's not playing because financially she has to. I took it as a joke, but I also was like, Venus is a little tone deaf at the moment.
But I just don't want people to, and I was saying this in a group one day. I don't want people to be embarrassed about making money or having money or anything like that because it might, like you say, it might be tone deaf to other people. I want business owners to have a booming business, right? Yeah. And some business owners, they don't want people to know that they have this booming business. And I used to be like that mindset. Like if I was around people that weren't, if I was doing well and other people weren't doing it, I would like tense up. It didn't make me feel good to see that, right?
Right.
And so I would like,
you would dim your light.
Dim my light for that sometimes.
Yeah. No, you don't. But on the flip side, and it's so funny because I have a colleague who advises high net worth individuals. And I think on the flip side, sometimes people with money go out of their way to try to communicate that they like everybody else. And not from an embarrassment standpoint, but more so like, ooh, they're uncomfortable with people knowing that they have money. And so she would tell me, she would be in these conversations with people and they would be like, oh, it's so awkward, or oh, I feel so guilty, especially like if they inherited the money. And so she would say, I
know somebody like that.
Well, she would say,
we know somebody like that.
I have a strategy. I have a strategy to help you with your guilt. And, I know something that we can do. That's what she said. She said she would tell them, oh, you can give me all your money and then that will help you with your guilt. And she said they'd be like, oh yeah, no, I'm just playing. Like,
I wouldn't say I didn't feel guilty, but this is what I was saying earlier. Your money mindset comes from how you grew up, and it's how you saw money as a child. And I'm doing a whole business thing on that. So y'all stay tuned. I'm not gonna get all into it, but I'm evidence that I'm, a product of this.
Yeah. And this is good because Venus and them definitely grew up working class, whatever.
Absolutely.
And so doing whatever you got to do.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to
now,
convey
baby,
here.
Venus, baby, you don't need to work. You don't need to work in order to have insurance. But that money mindset is still, ooh, these bills coming in. I ain't got no insurance.
Go away. The money mindset that you have as a child, that the way you saw your parents or your guardians or whoever you were raised by, it carries through to you want me to be very vulnerable? I went to the store when I was young and we were on food stamps and I had food stamps and I looked around to make sure that none of my friends were in there. And as soon as I gave the guy the food stamp, my classmate walked in and he was like, "Ooh, you got those things? You got them." And
that was back when the food stamps was like real,
dollars. And I remember that like that was yesterday. You could call my friend Sierra right now, and you'll say, why was Jennifer crying when y'all had to go to the store when you were young? This is a whole separate incident. To this day, she tells me, remember that time your mother had sent you to the store with food stamps and you were crying because you didn't want to go to the store? I didn't want to go because my classmate had already
was in there with the food stamp,
ostracized me for having food. And that is why, and I didn't realize this until recently, as an adult, my mindset about money is to hide it, to a certain extent.
So this makes sense then, because about 2 months ago we went to
talk about that.
We went to a concert together. And Auntie Jim pulled out a thick knot of money.
No,
it was all cash too. I said, Jim, what you got that knot for? She was like,
context, please.
She hurried up, boy.
Context, please.
We went to a concert.
I had my money in my sister brings me money to pay me back for stuff, right? So that's how I have cash. And I'm like, and I had it in my purse, and
it was a knot, y'all.
I couldn't take the purse to the concert, so I had to take the money and put it somewhere. So I was rushing. I put it in my pocket. I had to pay for parking. I pulled out the money to pay for
imagine
parking.
we pulling up.
It was ones. I had a good night at the strip club. Right. It was ones, okay?
But sorry, Eliza. I'm so sorry. I'm someone who never has cash. So we pull up to pay for parking. Me and the two people in the passenger side.
Oh, good.
We trying to, pull out our cars like, okay, we about to, contribute. You got cash app? We about to contribute to the parking. Jen, like I said, pull out this knot, and she start peeling off. I'm like, Jen,
she is exaggerating.
I am not. I was like, Jen, why you got all that knot? You like, dang, Khalil.
I didn't know she was gonna say anything. I'm like, oh my goodness. But
so then, like the week later, she was like, I can't believe you put me on blast like that. But she was trying to kind of hide it.
I was looking like a pimp or something. I'm like, no, I just had on jeans and I had the money in the pocket.
Like she was a street pharmacist.
So I had to put, context.
Look like a street pharmacist. But I have to think about this a little bit more.
I'm going to do, my business podcast, I don't want to mix it here, but I'm going to have a whole series on that. It's money mindset. It's a mindset that you get when you're very young, and Venus and Serena are examples of that.
So for me, I grew up with my family, extended family, being entrepreneurs. Another side of my family working in the plants. My mother being a teacher, right? So like working class or professional individuals. For me, and you said this to me, because I was an entrepreneur as well. I think I have always had the ability to get money. And it doesn't come hard for me. It just comes. And I would say, so for me personally, like in relation to my mom, our money stories are totally different.
Same here.
And so my challenge has been, right, moving beyond, right, the stress of money to know that I've always been able to, as my sister says, make it happen. And then you reminded me, right, a couple of weeks ago, like, do you understand when you had your business? Like, it was coming. And I was like, I guess it was, right?
I was reading the financials. I mean, I was reading, many people struggle, many business owners struggle to even make six figures. And, six figures is like a dream to them.
Yeah. And so Jim reminded me, like, do you realize that your business was making six figures and you didn't? And I was like, oh, I guess so.
Like six figures.
So so I think for me, a part of it is in relation to my mom and her story, but I think also claiming another part of my story, my family's story and legacy, because up until I was an entrepreneur myself, I never really associated my family's money story with entrepreneurship, right? Until I started to reflect back on what I really learned. Like, I would talk about what I learned from my grandmother, but I would never center the entrepreneurship story in that. And I think having that experience, taking the risk, gave me a level of confidence, which is why we about to get this money when it comes to our podcast.
So when you be on my podcast, you gonna be a guest on my podcast? Yeah, we can talk about this deeper.
I will. Okay. I will. So Venus, release the working class.
It's in her.
It is in there. But release
Compton, Watts,
Compton, baby.
Compton
you far from
she
Compton.
About to put
now.
the barrettes back in her hair. Just wait, it's coming. But yeah, that's real. So
yeah, that was a good bring it back around. But this was fun. So are we signing off?
We are signing off. Thank you to Elijah.
Always.
And
thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for all your input. So again, follow us on all of our social channels and comment and like and send us questions and topics that you want us to talk about. But we are signing off. We are ATS, Aunties Talk Sports. 2 aunties, 2 mics, all game. Peace.